evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ahmed Hassan. We will just have a self-introduction when we started the presentation. Allow me to present the commercial counselor of the Austrian embassy, Mr. Pfeifer. Pleased to have you here in my presentation, and I'm pleased to welcome you, ladies and gentlemen, in my presentation. Today we'll discuss about the Active Directory and their vulnerabilities or misconfigurations from the different system administrators of any company or government entity, which can lead to a compromise of the whole company. As mentioned before, my name is Ahmed Hassan. I studied and I'm working in Austria, in Vienna, at Condignum, which is a cybersecurity consulting company for giving consultations for companies and government entities in that cybersecurity field. Exactly. About the agenda for today, first we will talk about myself, a quick self-introduction. After that, we'll talk about what is an Active Directory to understand the vulnerabilities and the other processes after that. And after having the understanding of the Active Directory, we'll talk about different vulnerabilities and misconfigurations of Active Directory. And at the end of the session, we will have a quick lab or walkthrough regarding a specific vulnerability called the DC Sync attack or DC Sync vulnerability. And at the end, of course, we will have QA, questions and answers from your side. So please feel free to get the questions at the end of the session. Okay, about me, I'm happy to be here or have been working since at least 6 years in the cybersecurity field, giving different sessions, different webinars in different conferences or in universities, government entities. This was, of course, a big pleasure. And I would also love to thank each university or conference here for this presentation. My main focus or main work is to secure the vulnerabilities of the clients and give them a good consultation in that cybersecurity. Great. This is just a quick visualization how far I'm coming from, as mentioned, from Austria. So again, pleasure to be here with you and to be selected as a speaker at BlackHat. Great. This is also just a quick view of the certifications I have where I successfully finished in regards of the cybersecurity field to be able to work at my position right now and securely consult the companies and governments in regards of their cybersecurity status and security issues in the company. Great. Let's come to the main point which we want to understand, which is the Active Directory. So I think the picture is simplifying the situation of many companies and government entities. Some of them are not really prepared for a cyber attack. And as you can see, if it knocks, the door gets broken easily. This is because a lot of companies are not really aware and prepared for cyber attacks. That's why we are doing these webinars, this consultation, to make sure they are aware and prepared against cyber attacks. So in our case, Active Directory is a centralized management system allowing system administrators to secure and manage all the infrastructure easily without, let me say, a lot of pain, how you can secure and manage the environment of a company. So we have just scratched the surface, but what is exactly an Active Directory? As mentioned before, an Active Directory is standing for a centralized management system, allowing the system administrator to manage the whole user's password sitting in his computer's workstation to be able to view and really manage the whole surface and system of a company easily. So he doesn't overview or forget a specific point, and that's why they decided to make the Active Directory. Exactly. So starting with the first misconfiguration, or let me say two misconfigurations here, we have lack of unique passwords and password reuse. So what does it mean? In simple words, system administrators want to make their life easy. So they simply assign easy passwords and a lot of the same password for a lot of users inside a company to make it easy for them to get access to the devices without really having the knowledge about cybersecurity, okay? And in our case, we did this for a while and wanted to check if they had a secure password, or let me say, different passwords for every user, which was not in place at all. And in our case here, you can see, even if it's a lot technical, but I will try to make it easier, we were able to access different users inside the company with the same password. Let me say the password was 123, and in our case, we were simply able to get access to an administrator, to the user Ahmad, for of course, user Joseph, or any other user. And this simply let us have access to all the users inside the company by simply guessing the easy password and spraying it out, meaning sending it to all the other devices, making sure that we are able to access it. And by this way, we simply got access to the domain inside and were able to take over it. This is, of course, the first vulnerability and this configuration we wanted to make sure system administrators are aware. The second point, I think it's clear for us. This is the easy password or not complex password usage. I think all of us, or maybe most of us, make their Facebook password not really secure, like, I don't know, the name, the password, and the location they are born in. And this is not really secure as we think in cybersecurity. This is exactly what we are talking about in Active Directory. They are, for example, giving a minimum password length of 7, which is easy to brute force for an attacker. And therefore, it's making it easier for them to get access to this password. And besides that, there is no password complexity. That means they can use a password without numbers, without special characters, without underscores, etc., etc. This makes, of course, for us as a the pen tester or the ethical hacker, the process much more easier than you think, because we can brute force it easily. And this is also allowing us in the most of the times to get access to the domain easily, which we are not really thinking of. Okay. In our case here, we have the third misconfiguration, which is giving access to low privileged users to the domain controller. And if you don't know what is a domain controller, the domain controller is the main heart of the Active Directory. This is the system where the system administrator is able to manage, delete, add, and do all the work he wants or she wants in order to manage their company and system. By this way, when we did a security assessment for a company, we were able to access the domain controller by a low privileged user, which is normally not or should be not allowed to have access to the domain controller. And by this, we simply created a domain administrator account and got easy access to the whole domain, by this compromising the whole Active Directory of this company. Maybe if you don't have a really good or at least a simple background in Active Directory, this seems a little bit difficult. But if you go Active Directory a little bit deeper, it will be much easier than that. Okay, I think this slide is really easy to understand. As system administrators are, I don't know, they love it, but it's not really secure. They love to put the passwords inside the description field. And I think 90% of them don't know that this description field is really, really easy for us as an attacker to get and to access. By that, in this situation, this was just a proof of concept which I made. We were simply able to get access to this SQL server, which is a database in our case, and simply compromise the SQL server, giving us full access and allowing us to compromise this SQL service. Okay. By that, I'm simply telling all the system administrators to take care of these fields, especially the description field, because it's really, really easy to get access to this by an attacker or ethical hacker in our case. Okay. In this part here, we are simply running some specific tools. Here we have a tool called Bloodhound and another tool which is called LDOP domain dump, which shows us the huge amount of domain administrators inside the company. This simplifies a specific attack here. If we have a lot of system or domain administrators, we are having a huge percentage. If any kind of these users got attacked, we are inside the domain admin group, and by this, we are able to compromise the whole Active Directory and domain. This vulnerability, or their main recommendation for this vulnerability especially, we must take care how many domain admins we have inside our company. So it's recommended to have, for example, maximum 3 or 4 domain administrators. In case some or one of them got compromised, we make sure that we can deactivate them as soon as possible. But in this case, there are at least 12 domain administrators, and this is not really the secure way we want to see inside the company or any client in general. So this is also a big issue system administrators do and can lead to full domain compromise. Okay, here we have some points we have to take care of. This is a simple group analysis and domain user analysis. The first one, as you can see, inactive domain administrator accounts, okay? This simplifies that there is no taking care of the group, taking care of the members of the domain administrators, because they may be domain administrators inactive, or they have left the company from 2006. And this is not the really secure way and to patch and to update the system. We need to make sure that inactive domain admin members have to be removed as soon as possible if they are not needed anymore. This is the first point we have to take care of. The second point is the passwords and the password policy in general. I think Facebook is asking all the users, I think, once a year to update the password. And this is exactly the same way we need to take care of the domain administrator group passwords. This must be updated yearly, if not twice or many times, much more times inside the year. Because what do you think if a specific password has been leaked over a specific website and the attacker was able to get access to the internal domain and simply test this password? He will simply get access to the domain admin. And by that, this could be an easy way to compromise the whole domain. So for that, we need to take care of this point. The third part, which is, as you can see here, don't expire password, or the password is not expired. It's simply something like the password has been not changed. Because when we talk about don't expire the password, then the user or the users will not need to change the password, as the password will not expire, and the password will simply stay the same. Leading to the same issue we have mentioned before, that the password currently can be leaked and can be used by an attacker or APT, advanced persistent threat, leading to full compromise of the domain. So these points are really, really important to take care of in case you are a system admin, or in case you are a pen tester. You can simply try it out. Maybe you will have a good week beside it. Okay, this picture can be a little bit technical. It's simply showing you that the domain administrator is having access to a PC or workstation. And in the normal time, domain administrator should only have access to the domain controller, because the domain controller is protecting the domain administrator, for example, from leaking his hashes, from leaking his sensitive information, like password, files, etc. And when a domain administrator is accessing a PC, a workstation, or a normal PC, he is simply having some certain of attacks, like a normal password can be dumped. The attacker can dump all the hashes, which includes, of course, the domain administrator hash, as he had worked on this device. And simply, this attacker can simply try to log into the domain controller, and by that, getting access to the domain controller as a domain administrator. So this is also really, really important to mention, that domain administrators should only log into the domain controller. Otherwise, they can create a low privileged user, which they can use to the normal activities like emails, updating devices, etc. This is really, really important, which we have faced with a lot of activities in client pen testing. Okay, so for that, you can see here the absence of least privilege. So what is exactly the least privilege principle or idea? So in general, we have normally a user, and the user should have not really the full administrator access, or the full access to download files, download exe files, etc. And this is most of the time not implemented in the companies, as they are able to run malicious scripts, running malicious files on the internet. And by that, simply the companies needs to implement something called the least privilege, giving them the full administrator account. They simply need to apply for it and ask the boss, for example, in our case, I need to get full admin access or administrator access for the specific client from 8 to 12 to do XYZ activity. For that, we make sure in our case that the administrator is not getting used for malicious activities, or in case the device has been compromised, make sure that he is not having the full administrator access. No, he is having the least privileged access. This is also one of the points attackers are really targeting when they get inside a company. Okay, this is simply a recommendation. This is not a vulnerability itself. Here we have 2 points, as you can see. First of all, the protected group and this account is sensitive and cannot be delegated tag. These 2 points are giving the system administrator the possibility to protect the domain administrators from, for example, getting access to PCs, workstations, leaking password hashes, whatever the vulnerability is. It makes it much more difficult for any attacker to really target the domain administrator and get what he wants or she wants to get to compromise this domain administrator. So please make sure you are putting them in this or tagging them with these 2 points we are showing here. So make it much more difficult for the attacker to compromise the domain administrator. Okay? So, great. We have here something called the KRBTGT, standing for Kerberos Ticket Ranking Ticket. I know it's maybe a little bit complicated from the name, but this KRBTGT is having the possibility to create tickets for any user inside the Active Directory. Meaning, if you want to get access to a specific service or anything or log in, the KRBTGT is responsible for giving us the ticket and therefore giving us the access to this device or this PC, workstation, etc. And in our case, if we compromise the KRBTGT, we are simply able to access or log in as any user inside the domain. So as an enterprise admin, as a domain admin, whatever you want. So this is really, really critical. If we do not change the password of the KRBTGT, as mentioned before, if the password has been leaked, then we have full compromise of the KRBTGT and therefore full compromise of the whole domain inside the company. And by that, we will see also a full DCC attack in the next slides as you go. So the recommendation for this part, please make sure to reset or at least change the password once a year so nobody can try to brute force or at least also think about the correct password and get access to the KRBTGT. Great. So in this case, I have prepared a tag, which is our own dev environment, showing how we can simply, if we get access to a domain with a high privilege level, which is in our case the administrator, we can hash or get all the hashes of any user, including the KRBTGT we have mentioned before. And this is what we will see together. So as you can see, this is our net. As you can see, we have the administrator with a full secure password. As you can see, password, which is not really secure, nothing. And here in our case, okay, can you get one slide back, please? Is this okay? Okay, I got it, no problem. Fine, I cannot stop, so we apologize for that. As you can see, we're trying now to get all the hashes inside the domain and running a specific code. We can see we get all the hashes. And at the third point, we got the KRBTGT hash. So that means we do not need to have the password in clear text. We can also use the hash itself to compromise an account, which we'll see here. And just try to copy the hash of the administrator. In case we do not have a clear text password, we can simply use the hash. And here, as you can see, we are trying to dump the hash with the hashes with the hash of the administrator only, of the clear text password, making it much easier than we just think. And as you can see, it's exactly the same output as you had seen before. We just got all the hashes, as you can see here, and we're simply able to compromise the whole Active Directory. By the way, the NTDS is the Active Directory database. So it's containing all the passwords, hashes, users, what you think. So centralized management in our case, and we were simply able to compromise and get access to all this sensitive information. As you can see here, it has been dumped and also saved in a specific folder containing I think 107 hashes and 32 content, etc. This site manages as well. So this was a simple proof of concept, how you can, first of all, dump all the hashes when we get access to a high-privileged user, in our case, the administrator, and when we not really secure the high-privileged user. This is including, of course, domain administrators and enterprise administrators as well. Okay. For the last slide, of course, everybody wants to make a local environment to test the vulnerabilities, know how it's working, and do not simply try to attack it on other companies. This is really, really important to mention. I have simply created a local vulnerable environment for Active Directory containing 3 devices. One is the domain controller and 2 Windows clients, Windows 11, which are intentionally having a lot of vulnerabilities and a lot of misconfigurations. This is hosted on my GitHub repository, as you could see here. You can, of course, download it simply in the VMware workstation you have. It's already pre-configured with the network. It's already domain joined, so it's much more easier than you can, or you must set up the whole Active Directory environment from 0 to hero. So please feel free to download it and test and learn from it, so you can get the best knowledge in Active Directory. By that, we have reached the end of the presentation today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have learned a lot of Active Directory misconfigurations and vulnerabilities. And thank you again for your attendance here. And I hope you enjoyed the presentation. And thank you very much. Of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hands or just go on with the question. Great. If you don't have any questions, thank you again, and wish you a wonderful week. Thank you.